Well, good afternoon. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I want to talk today about what to do when the world is collapsing around you. Whether that's your own personal catastrophe or whether it's the world, as we expected one of these days, to really come crashing down around us. A special welcome to all the new people. We keep having a lot of new people come to the channel here. I want to say something to the new people. You've found your way to kind of a different channel, a special channel as far as I'm concerned, not because I'm here, but because of the people who are here. And we're a different channel in that we don't come on here just to scare the willies out of you every day with something new that you need to be terrified of. We are a serious channel talking seriously about serious preparedness and how to go about it. And a lot of that's mindset, and a lot of that is understanding concepts. If you don't know me, I'm the guy that wrote the Stonemont series. I'll let you see that in just a minute. But we also talk. We are a community. And and as a result, you're going to get a lot of different information here than you might other places. And if that's not for you, that's fine, because there are plenty of other channels that are different from this one, and you might prefer those. First, before I get into it, to kind of show you what kind of a community we are here, I want to show you something that is so cool that I got from one of our viewers just yesterday. I went past to mail off a bunch of mugs. I'm catching up now that I'm back from the hospital, mailing out all the mugs, getting all those out there. I've got the orders have just been stacking up. I haven't talked much about the books or the mugs or the t-shirts or anything like that because we have so many orders that stacked up. I want to get caught up on that before I really promote them again. But anyway, so I was up there taking a whole bunch. By the way, if you hear household noises behind you, it's Sunday afternoon. The family's here. Sounds like my son's upstairs lifting weights in his room, and Kelly's in the kitchen doing something. Anyway, it's just you're just here in the house with us, okay? So I picked that up, and then I checked my my post office box. And it said that it had a key there for one of the lockers, and I went and I got in the locker, and I said, what in the world could this be? Well, it came from one of our viewers, actually a husband and wife, who collectively often comment as full circle. You know, I don't know if they comment on YouTube or not, or if it's just on Patreon. I'm not sure. But I got the box out and I brought it home and I unboxed it, as it were. And I want to show you what this is. This is something. It says, "This home protected by the Second Amendment." Can you all see that? Can you all see that? This is just, and of course you all, I'm sure most of you could quote the Second Amendment verbatim: "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." If that's not the most beautiful, and you might see there are spent, I think most of them are spent anyway, 223 shells going around here. If that is not the beautiful thing I've seen, you know, I just get such exceptional things from so many of our viewers here. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it or how meaningful it is to me. And many of you know that I'm putting in a new office, and now this is going somewhere important, and I can't wait to get these things up here. I want to read you just a little bit from the letter that they sent me with it. And because it's got some very good, and for you newer people, these are important things too. These are important things when it comes to preparedness. I'm just going to read a little bit of the letter. They sent me a very nice letter. She says, Steve, my husband and I have been enjoying your videos and books. I recommend them to everyone. We live in, I won't say where, born and raised in this area, and I could relate to some of the scenarios in your books. I love it when people say, I live in that area that you wrote about and all that. And I was talking about a gypsy enclave. She says, I'm a retired nurse, and my husband opened his own private direct primary care internal medicine office about a year ago. So he's a physician. We're done working for the corporate world. See, what I'm talking about, where I'm headed here, is that there are so many people out there that say, well, I'd like to do that. I'd like to break away. I'd like to do my own thing. I'd like to do this and do that and do that. But, and then of course, you know what they say, everything before a but doesn't count. Because what comes after the but is the excuse on why they're not going to do it. But there are so many people out there who have done these things. Just done them. It's not easy. It takes hard work. Take it from me. It takes hard work, and it takes a year of hard work. And but they do it. And if here I'm going to put in another plug for the Patreon channel. If you're not with us on Patreon, there's a big difference between the YouTube channel and the Patreon channel. I mean, yes, I put a lot of extra material over there, certainly, but the people over there, you will find successful, and I mean successful and super smart and super preparedness-minded people. When people say, nobody can do all that kind of stuff, go over there and you're going to read some comments and you'll get some information from many who have. That is a real resource for you over there on the Patreon channel, especially in our member posts section. So anyway, we are done working for the corporate world, which he did for over 25 years, right? The money was great, that's right, and it enabled us to get our land, right. See, sometimes you have to work for the money. I say this so often. One of the things that so many people who claim to be preppers just won't get their arms around is the importance of making money. I'm going to do another one on that pretty soon. It enabled us to get our land, that's right. Without that money, you couldn't get the land. But not worth selling your soul. So true. Now he is in control of how he practices medicine, and the patients that come to him are our kind of people. I've said this before about our businesses. We have certain businesses here. We only deal with people we like. If somebody has an asshat, I fire them as a customer. I do not deal with them. We have met so many people through our business, not this business, but like our lighting business and others, that are preparedness-minded, and our kind of people, our circle of friends grows because of our businesses. We get together often for Bible study and prepping talks. We wish we could have a compound. I create wreaths. Here's another important part. I create wreaths for a little extra income. The husband's a doctor, but they have such a sense of responsibility. She still does crafts and creates wreaths. And what beautiful wreaths. Can I hold this up one more time? Man. For extra income. Why? Because that goes into your ability to be prepared. The Second Amendment wreath is one of my top sellers. My husband said, I bet Steve would like one, so here you go, she says. Thank you, and then she writes some very nice stuff. If we do comment on the Patreon videos, so I think they're just on Patreon, we go by full circle. You all, I want to say this before I move on, I can't thank you enough. It means more to me than I can express, and that is just beautiful. And I can't wait to get my new office in so that I can display it along with some other things. And that is just amazing. So that is, there were some lessons in there that if you were paying attention, you picked them up. This morning, I was reading parts 25 and 26 of the Audible of my Audible of my first book, The Reversion. For those of you who may know that over on the Patreon channel, one of the things, if you're on the Stonemont level, it allows you to hear my reading the Audible of my books, the first of which is The Reversion. I'll tell you how to get them in a little bit if you want. While I was reading that, one of the sections had a character, and I use those books to teach. I've taught many things for almost 50 years. I've taught preparedness, I've taught combatives, I've taught martial arts, I've taught a lot of things. And I'm thinking about teaching, for those of you who have already watched the Patreon video, you've heard me ask if you would like me to share some other things about combatives and things like that, so let me know. But I try to teach through the books. It's a great story. The story is about the collapse of the world. CME hits and everything falls apart. And it's a story of how it's a textbook, though not written like a textbook. It's a series of 6 novels on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything. And so it's packed with lessons. Not lessons like, how many pounds of beans and stuff like this, or you need a new knife. But one of the things that I had one of the characters say, she just escaped from a very horrible situation, and they asked her how she did it, and she said, "My dad always told me," her dad based on a friend of mine, that no matter what happened, how bad things got, always keep your head and have a plan. Now, this will go over the heads of a lot of people who just come to preparedness channels wanting a list of things they should do right now. The 5 knives they should have, the 5 guns they should have, the 3 this, the 10s that's, all of that. I don't believe in doing people's thinking for them. Those things are so basic, okay, that if you're just getting started, those are good. But go back, you can watch a lot of my older ones. I mean, the very second one I made was about food storage. You can go back and watch those. I'm not going to continue doing the same stuff over and over and over. So go back to the basics if you need the basics. There's nothing wrong with needing the basics. But as you get through those with an understanding, you have to understand that it's important to take the next steps. The next steps through understanding and application of that understanding and those principles that you've learned. And what I see so often in the preparedness world, and it seems, I'll be honest, it seems to be devolving. It seems to be getting worse, not better. People seem to continue being afraid of the same things. And there are some people, sadly, who I think are addicted to that. They just want, it has to be something horrible this morning that I can be afraid of, or I can't get through the day. And that's a horrible way to live. The right way to live is to be in control of your life. And I know that that's something that a lot of people find uncomfortable, but because that takes personal responsibility and effort and vision and wisdom and all sorts of things that many people are uncomfortable with. That's too bad, because those people who are uncomfortable with that are really not going to be survivors. They're not going to survive when something really serious happens. They're the ones who splash in the shallow end and think that it's fun playing preparedness, but haven't really understood that, hey, these things can really happen, and they probably will happen, and you need to be preparing for it. So when I cover central principles or central concepts, something as seemingly simple as this: keep your head and have a plan. A lot of people go away from that feeling unfulfilled. Well, yeah, but what? But what kind of plan? Keep my head. How can I keep my head? You see, these are the things that are personal responsibilities. These are the things that the individual has to develop. When it all comes down around you, you know, the first line, I say this often, I know, because it's one of my favorite sayings from the first line of one of my favorite poems, If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. How about that? Are you able? Are you cool-headed? Some of that comes from temperament. Some people are just basically more level-headed than others. They don't get shook up as easily. A lot of it comes from training. You know, the more emergencies you've been in, the less emergent each one seems to become, right? You talk to, for instance, Mark, my good buddy Mark, who some of you have met on here. He's an ER nurse now. He was a special ops medic and all that. And he says, you know, one of the first things that we teach people is that when you arrive on, and he was a lieutenant. He retired also from the fire department, rescue teams and all that, paramedics. And he says, you know, one of the things when you arrive on a scene, too many people who don't know and are inexperienced will be the screaming of people will get their attention. They'll become focused on the screaming. He said that's the wrong thing to do. If they're screaming, they're breathing. If they're breathing, they're living. So often it's the ones who aren't screaming that are the real dangers, the ones that you're about to lose or that can't, whatever, like that. And so my only point in saying that was that in a lot of cases, it's experience that enables you to have a better grasp of things and to keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. Okay, and I know this from my own experience. I remember being a brand new cop, and the first times I'd crawl into a blood-filled car or going, whatever. And it was, I never was one of those that got particularly excited. I mean, I'm kind of one of those that as things get more stressful, I get more calm. I guess it's just the way that I'm wired. But, some people have asked Kelly, she says, does he ever get excited about anything? No. But definitely the more experienced you are, the more you're able to, correctly compartmentalize the extraneous and focus on the things that need to be focused on. Most people never live lives where they have that kind of experience repetitively to the point that it becomes normal for them. And when the abnormal becomes normal, well, then it's normal for you, and you're able to handle it better, and you're going to be better for those needing to rely on you too. But keeping your head is so important. Having a plan. Now here's the thing with a plan. Everybody's familiar with the PACE, right? Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. And then what I call the OS. That's when the emergency becomes more emergency. Oh crap. But still, you have to be thinking clearly. And the extent to which you can think clearly and continue to develop and evolve more layers, more circles of plan depends on how well you're able to mentally process the evolving dynamics of a situation. Okay, I know I'm speaking I'm speaking strangely here with a lot of commas and parentheses. It comes from teaching all these years. But having a plan, having a plan beforehand is important. I don't put the same stress on a plan beforehand that many others do, simply because I've never seen a plan. You know the old saying, no plan ever survives first contact with the enemy, right? So so from that, and I've seen it happen over and over and over and over again, you sit down and you will plan ad infinitum. And, hey, if a majority of your plan works out, good. It worked out. Good for you. So often something happens that all of a sudden, even at the earliest stages, throws a kink in the plan. Well, you need to be able to dance to whatever tune they start playing, right? You can't go, wait, what? That doesn't go according to my plan. Let's get back here on the plan, right? So planning beforehand is good. Here we have a plan. Where are we going to go? A bug out, an alternate location. If something happens, when are we going to get out? I've had people ask me, Steve, what are your triggers to leave? For instance, this is just a for instance of many variables. And I said, that's impossible to say because it doesn't matter what my triggers are. First off, my triggers may not be triggered if everything that I put on that trigger isn't happening, or if they're happening differently. And secondly, my triggers may not be, and maybe should not be, the same as yours. We have different situations. You have to be the one who decides that. And here's where the thinking and the responsibility of real preparedness comes in. Not trying to conform yourself or your plans according to some predetermined scenario that somebody else has written down and given you. You have to think about it, okay? What makes you think that it's time to leave? And I'll get back to that just a second. I say, my one trigger is, for instance, I'm bugging out, and bugging out it's my very last resort. But in some cases, because we're not bugging out so much as we're going to what I call an alternate location, there are times that I might move to an alternate location, even if I think that the situation is going to be, fluid and temporary. And then I'll come back. So all sorts of things come in, but I will move to an alternate location if I think that staying where I am is not as positive as moving. Simple as that, but you have to make your own determination. So when planning comes into it, a plan that you've developed before the emergency, that's good. A fire plan for your house. Hey, if the fire is downstairs and is rushing up the staircase, you guys got to bail out the windows, right? If it's in one of the upstairs bedroom, you come downstairs, everybody meets at the tree out front. Things like that. That's good. Those kinds of plans are good. But even in those kinds of cases, weird things can happen. So you have to be able to think on your feet, to explain to everybody else, to use their noggins, use their heads, and use their reasoning powers, so that they're not a victim of the plan, because you can be a victim of the plan. So as important as a pre-event plan might be, in my mind, the ability to evolve and develop a plan through a developing situation is more important. To have an understanding of what the dynamics of the situation are, to have down, if you're fully prepared, being fully prepared makes it easier for you to do that, right? Right? If you don't have much food, you don't have much, water, you don't have much, you don't have a way to defend yourself, well, not much of a plan, but your plan is pretty much get out with some clothes on your back and see if you can hook up with somebody who can support you, right? That's no kind of plan. But having a plan and the ability to change dance steps on that plan when you need to. And I know people will say, well, it all falls within, the pace. No, it doesn't really. It doesn't really, because, it's life is more complicated than that, and emergency situations are far more complicated than that. So it's a matter of having a general idea of the situation, what you need to do, having an understanding of your resources, having an understanding of the people that you're dealing with, of your goal, of perhaps a shifting goal as a result of shifting dynamics, right? But above all, keep your head. Keep your head. So, have a plan and keep your head. Like I say, I haven't been announcing these for a while because we've just been snowed under. I need to catch up with filling all the orders. But if you want to order the books, the Stonemont series, the best way, you can get them through Amazon, and the link's down below, but the best way to get them is through me, through our website, stonemont.us. Stonemont.us, and that way I get to sign them for you. And there's a place on the order form you can put, what would you like Steve to write in there for you? And I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. The reversion, the revival, the renewal, an appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. Yes, I'm working on the 7th one, the complete guide to preparing for surviving and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. The mugs are selling like hotcakes. Now that we've gotten most of them shipped out, I can let everybody know again. The Stonemont mug that everybody is loving so much, I do too. They're available on the website, as are all the t-shirts, things like that. Become a Stonemonter. You'll love it. And we have more things coming for you as well. Join us on the Patreon channel where you're going to get so much more information. And when you do come over there, make sure that you check the member posts every day. We have some super smart people. For one of the first things I do every morning is jump on there and go to that because I learn from those people. They are so smart. And finally, just a reminder, full circle. Can't thank you enough. This is just gorgeous. And makes me want to hurry, get my office done so I can get this up there right behind my desk somewhere. You all remember that we have a responsibility to be prepared for ourselves and for those who depend on us. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, because you're only going to live as well tomorrow as you prepare for today. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.